Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Want some Pez? Oh, it's stuck. God, Pez sucks. Anyway, hello, I'm Parker. And right here, I have a list of all the movies I've seen this year. Actually, this isn't the whole list. I got a sticky note, a couple other sticky notes. I ran out of space on my primary piece of paper, so this is the whole list of movies I've seen this year. I've sorted it by month, although this is getting a little... Okay, that's December, that's the end of November. It's a little confusing. I've made a mess of it, but I'm going to go through every movie I've seen this year and just, briefly describe it or say something hopefully interesting about it. The first... Okay, I'm starting in January. I'll say when a month stops, because some months I watch way more movies than others. So that's probably not interesting to anyone but me, but it goes up and down a lot. So starting in January, this is January, I watched Asparagus, which is like an arty 20-minute animated movie. Really good. I liked it a lot. It was very, real surreal and stuff, real strange. It was good. I watched Heavy Metal, which I also liked, although some segments were more boring than others. It's it's based on the magazine, which I actually have a few of the magazine. Maybe I'll do a video on them. But it's like an anthology movie, so there's I don't remember how many segments, but maybe 10 or more. There's a lot. All animated. So the art is cool. The stories are pretty boring, which is true to the magazine. So Uncaged, which I believe is a Danish action horror movie with escaped lions. And I think they didn't want you to think there were 2 escaped lions until the end, but me and my brother just figured out there were multiple lions just 10 minutes into the movie or something. They were all like, how could the lion go from this place to the Danish factory or whatever? And it was like, there's 2 of them. There's 2 of them. Stop dragging this out. Anyway, I didn't like that movie. It was obvious and stupid. Umbilical World, which is the David Firth full-length movie made up of his old cartoons plus some new animations. Really liked that. I like David Firth a lot. I actually have the DVD for that. Let me show you. That's what the DVD looks like. Ooh, a lot of glare. Bunch of heads sticking out of the ground. Yeah, good movie. And it's interesting how he put them together. Kind of like an album or something, with the different songs kind of adding up to something, even if they aren't directly related. That was good. Pretty surreal month so far in January. Return to Oz, which is kind of famous for being creepy and too adult for kids, but I loved it as a kid, and I rewatched it this past year. I liked it still. It's really crazy. And I think it's nice to have really creepy movies for kids. I think you want to push it just a little bit, so the kids can, feel excited, kind of explore in a safe environment, I think scary movies are good for kids. Then the last movie I watched in January is Sleepaway Camp, which was awful. I hated it. And the ending, although the ending is really funny, it's supposed to be so horrifying that it just is supposed to blow your mind. And one of my friends, he's a bit strange, but he thought it was terrifying. He thought the whole thing was super scary and that the ending totally worked. So I get maybe it's just me that the ending was just the funniest thing I've ever seen, but yeah, I didn't like that one. Sleepaway Camp, I'm talking about. I'll try to say each name like at least twice in case I mumble or something. So now we're on to February, where I only watched 3 movies. The first one was The Craft, not the remake, the original. I watched the original and then was thinking February of last year. Had they already announced the remake? I never saw the remake, though, is my point. I watched the original, liked it, and I decided not to watch the remake. Because one of the main things I liked in The Craft was Fairuza Balk, who is Dorothy in Return to Oz. So maybe that's why I watched it. Watched The Craft that close to Return to Oz. I got on a miniature little Fairuza Balk kick. But yeah, The Craft is good. Next is What They Had. What They Had is what is a movie. This movie on this list of movies is a movie. It has Hilary Swank and Michael Shannon as the kids of an old couple. The mom is Blythe Danner, I think, and she has dementia, and Robert Forster is the dad, and they're like family drama. It's got like some real heavy-handed symbolism that's just like real. So that one's just kind of like an average movie. Not exactly my genre anyway, but it's fine. It was predictable, kinda. Is that the right word? Standard. Standard is the word I'm looking for. That was a standard experience. And I really like Hilary Swank. So, not all bad. Or not all standard. Dead Birds, which I didn't know had Michael Shannon in it, but I had like a miniature little Michael Shannon film festival there too, after my bulk one. Dead Birds, if it's the one I'm thinking of, I thought I could remember all the movies for a year, but Dead Birds, I believe, is the Civil War horror movie where Michael Shannon plays like the only racist in the whole movie. The only racist Confederate soldier. And they go to a farmhouse. They run through a cornfield, see like some pink, desiccated, disgusting corpse of some dog cow. And they're like, that's weird. Maybe they shoot it. They shoot it, and then they're looking at it, and they're like, bit off, but the whole war's been cruel to us. And then they go to the farmhouse. Things come out of wells, more monsters, ghosts. Whole thing's a bit strange. Then everyone winds up dying, and the last guy, as he's trying to escape, running from the farmhouse, turns into a pink monster. And a new group of people see him and are like, God damn, that's off. And they shoot him. So the whole thing, see, it's cyclical. It repeats itself. It repeats itself. It repeats itself. Okay. So that was like fun, but it was like terrible. Just schlock, but the dog cow man thing looked cool. It was all pink and gristly. Michael Shannon's a good actor. I've seen worse things, but it wasn't successful, I wouldn't say. March. Time for March. The first one was Borat subsequent movie film, which I liked. I thought it was good. I haven't seen the first Borat, and I still haven't. So I basically got enough of Borat just from watching the sequel that just came out, and I never went back and watched the original. But it's still on my list. Still on my list. But I might wait another year or two or something. They Live. I don't remember what that is. I'll look it up at the end. Godzilla from 1954, the Japanese version. So I think it's basically the same movie with Americans added. That's Godzilla King of Monsters, which I haven't seen, although I have a t-shirt of it. But this is just the original Godzilla, which starts out really good. Like the first half is really good, then it slows way down, and I'm not sure why. And then they have like the oxygen destroyer is how they kill Godzilla. They don't address whether they kill all of the fish in the ocean too. But they develop this oxygen destroyer and just destroy all the oxygen in the ocean. Starts out strong, ends a little weak, I say. Good Time with Robert Pattinson by the Safdie brothers, I think. That one was really good. I really liked that. I thought a few of the plot points were a little too cute, like a little convenient or something, but overall it was just great. Very good. And convincing for the most part, maybe is why the couple of things that were a little farther fetched bothered me, because most of the movie had me totally convinced. So I feel like I'm nitpicking on it when I point out its flaws, but really good. Day the Earth Ended, which I think is a 1950s sci-fi movie, like post-apocalyptic movie, with a group of survivors living in a house. And the stupidest thing about that, I just watched this randomly on some channel somewhere. The stupidest thing about that was this, one of the dudes, like the jerk, tried to rape this woman. He was just like losing it, and he was just going animalistic and ballistic. And then the hero guy ran in and punched him or something, and the woman, yeah, 1950s, I don't know how to do anything. She ran off. And then she didn't tell anybody about this psycho rapist guy. And I think the good guy got bushwhacked by him, I think is the sequence. So he didn't get back to the house to tell everybody. And this dumb woman, this 1950s, excuse me, sci-fi actress, doesn't tell anybody, sci-fi character I should say, doesn't tell anyone in the house, like, hey, the jerk went insane and tried to rape me and was talking about murdering all of you. She's just like, she just ran like a sheep and then forgot about it or something. And then the psycho rapist comes in and starts trying to kill people. It's like this whole thing could have been avoided if you weren't written by a sexist man. It's like, was so misogynist, it introduced plot holes. It's like, wow. Plus the whole movie was just boring and sucked, so I don't know why I watched it. Sometimes you just watch stuff, you're like eating chicken, you're sitting there, you're like, okay, I'm eating chicken. What am I gonna do while I eat chicken for sustenance? And you're like, The Day the Earth Ended. Sure, I like the Fallout series. I'll watch a post-apocalyptic movie. Then you regret it. You just regret it. I watched Godzilla vs. Kong. This is the remake. I haven't ever seen the original. See, that's another one I gotta see. Godzilla vs. Kong in theaters. I went and saw it. I think with my same friend who likes Sleepaway Camp. And he didn't like it at all. He thought it was bullshit. And I didn't like it either. They wind up just working together, I think. You don't really get a clean winner, which sucks. They like sort of each one match they had in the movie, Disregard that. And then by the end, like when they were going to have the third fight, the deciding fall, they had to work together and beat something that was happening. I don't even remember. Boring movie. It did have Paperboy in it, though, and he's cool. I can't remember the actor's name, but he plays Paperboy on Atlanta. Night of the Living Dead, which I like. I think the dialogue is pretty terrible and tedious. It's just people arguing back and forth, but I think that movie's good. And the arguing's pretty appropriate. It's just tedious, and the movie doesn't flow good all the time. But that one's really good. And I got to get my brother to watch it, because he watched Walking Dead. He's a tattoo artist too, so he draws zombie stuff all the time. He does zombie makeup because he likes working in haunted houses and haunted trails. I'm like, dude, you gotta see Night of the Living Dead. It is required of you. Sonic the Hedgehog. No comment. Or is that true? No comment? I don't know. I can't talk about it without being mean, and I don't really have anything insightful to say or anything interesting. It's just, I fucking hated it. Trial of the Chicago 7 by Aaron Sorkin. That one was preachy as hell. Aaron Sorkin's very skillful, which kind of makes the preaching and manipulation he does. You can like study it if you want to see how to sway an audience. It's kind of, I found it helpful because I like to write stuff. So it kind of felt like a lesson or something. I thought the movie was kind of lame, but very well done. So I wouldn't recommend that one, but unless you're interested in like, the thing that stuck out was the perception he manipulated. Like, damn it, it was a while ago, because that's still in, oh, I'm in April, did I say? Starting with Godzilla vs. Kong. This is April, and this is the last movie of April. Just 4 movies. I guess I can't come up with a good, clean example of what I mean, but it's about the trial of the Chicago 7, which was a thing in the 60s, I guess. I don't really know all the details, but he gets you to perceive each person in a very specific way. Unless you notice that he's doing it like I do, then it doesn't really work. You get kind of distanced from the emotion. But anyway, well done. Geo Disaster, which is maybe the lowest rent disaster movie I've ever seen. I mean, I haven't watched Birdemic, but it's about like Birdemic. That level of bullshit. Secrets and Lies, which is awesome. It's by Mike Lee. Awesome movie. That might be my favorite movie the whole year so far. That one's just great. So I'm in May now. I mentioned I was at the end of April, but I didn't actually say entering May. I'm in May now. High Hopes, like another Mike Lee movie. High Hopes is so depressing. It's very good, but it's like so grim. It's really not fun to watch, but it is good. The Setup. That is an old boxing movie about a fixed fight where they don't tell one of the boxers that the fight is fixed. So his manager doesn't. The manager makes a deal with some gangsters who control the other fighter, and the other fighter is supposed to go over. So the main character boxer is just actually fighting, and he manages to beat the other guy. So then the gangsters catch up with him and break his fingers, I think. Or like beat him up bad, and break his hands where he can't box again. And his wife is pretty happy about it, because she didn't want him involved with gangsters and boxing anyway. And that's like the whole movie. It's like just over an hour, I think, and it's real straightforward and simple, and it's got good details and good dialogue. Good movie. The Setup. And the next one is The Last Unicorn, which I like. It's got some really good animation. Peps along alright. It's got, the best part is Angela Lansbury as an evil carnival owner who turns into a harpy, I think. No. She's like a witch. witch type thing. Her only power might be that she has like an item that lets her trap other people, magical creatures' powers, so that she can run her sideshow. But the harpy gets let out of its cage by the unicorn and the wizard or whoever, the main characters. And the harpy eats Angela Lansbury, the evil sideshow barker. So yeah, that's my favorite part. Grotesque. Okay, that's the end of May. I'm going to remember to say that this time. June, we're at. So, The Men Who Tread on the Tiger's Tail, which is the most boring, not very good Akira Kurosawa movie I've ever seen. I don't recommend it even. I don't think it's worth watching. It's really short. It's like an hour. But it not very good. Like, he just missed with that one. And then, I can't remember the year on it, but it might be during World War II or immediately after, kind of before Japan lifted some of its censorships, because it's got a real propaganda feel to it. I don't think it was released in 1944, or during the war. It could have been, though. Maybe it was. Okay, Stand By Me. I like that one. I think it's pretty dumb, but it's got like that movie magic thing happening, which is something that makes Return to Oz better than it should be also. Basically where the movie is better than the sum of its parts. Just, it's got energy or something, you know? It's like, kind of elevates itself somehow, just with the energy of it. So I think Stand By Me is like pretty dumb. I thought the book was kind of dumb too. I read that not too long ago. I got my copy right over here. Different Seasons. I haven't read the other seasons yet, just the Stand By Me one, the Body. Good movie though. Late Night, which I believe is the one with Mindy Kaling and Emma Thompson. Is that her name? Emma Thompson? Yeah. And John Lithgow is Emma Thompson's husband. And that, I know I said, what was it? Which one did I say was standard? What They Had. I know I said What They Had was standard, but Late Night, that is standard. That is like flatlined. It's exactly what you would think it would be. And they like had this big scene. Oh, I'm losing my notes. They had this big scene between John Lithgow and Emma Thompson. And it was like, here is where the good acting goes. It's like the whole scene was just there to show off their acting. But it was so obvious, it was so standard that you could see them doing it, just setting up. Like they're literally sitting in a theater, which, you know, a lot of actors prefer to doing movies, you know, so it's like exactly that one thing. So it kind of detracts from it when it's that obvious, you know. Then they have a big emotional scene for them. I didn't care. Oh, now I'm really losing my post-its. Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Very good Coen Brothers movie. Like an anthology western. Very unusual movie and very good. Barton Fink. See, I have these little mini festivals. Like watch these little movies. Or watch a little bit of somebody. Like 2 Coen Brothers in a row. Or 2 Feruzas in a row. Or 2... Well, Michael Shannon was an accident, but you know. Barton Fink is great. I love Barton Fink. And John Turturro and John Goodman are so good in it. Everyone's good in it. There's so many good actors in that. 3:10 to Yuma, which is a god-awful, boring movie. It's almost exactly like High Noon. I don't know which of them came out first, but just watch High Noon. High Noon's very good. Don't watch 3:10 to Yuma. I liked 3:10 to Yuma even less after I read the short story, I grabbed that book to show too, but I can't see it. It's like the short stories of Elmer Leonard, complete Western short stories of Elmer Leonard. I don't see it though. But I read the short story, and it's just a million times better than that movie. This is the old movie, by the way. The old 3:10 to Yuma from around the time of High Noon, the 50s somewhere. Very bad, very boring, not good. One-Armed Swordsman, which was pretty straightforward. I didn't love it, but it was pretty entertaining. It was too long, was one problem I had with it. I wanted it to be peppier. Because I had watched, before that, Master of the Flying Guillotine, which I think has the same director. And Master of the Flying Guillotine is the most insane thing I've ever seen. It's great. It's just spastic and wonderful. It was so much fun. And then One-Armed Swordsman was like a way less fun, so I was kind of let down by that. But it wasn't bad. July, we're halfway through. Although, maybe more than halfway through, because January was really top heavy there. Probably 8 is the most I've watched in 1 month. Yeah. Okay. Let me plow through these. How far am I? 26 minutes. I better plow through these. Or not. Whatever. Big Lebowski. So I guess my Coen Brothers Festival is still kind of going on into July here. That looks like the end of it, though. Big Lebowski. And that one's really funny. It's not as good as Barton Fink or Buster Scruggs, I don't think. But it's really fun to watch. Coraline, based on the Neil Gaiman book, which I haven't read since I was a kid. But I remember liking the book. The movie I also liked, mainly for the art. I thought the story was stupid. So, but yeah, the art was really cool. Same with Kubo, which, yeah, I watched later this month. I'll jump straight to that. Same deal. Really cool art. I think the story is crap. Black Widow, which I saw in theaters. That was really bad. I thought. I didn't like that. I'm trying to think of something interesting to say. Oh, didn't the villain look like, what's his name? The sex criminal producer? Harvey Weinstein? Like, is that what they were going for? It seemed pretty obvious. My brothers agreed with me, and my 2 brothers went and saw it, and we just were like, well, they're using Me Too as the villain for this movie. Which seems a little cheap or something. Because it's like a spy organization that weaponizes girls, and so there were some parallels, but the whole movie was crap too. The one-liners were like the worst of any Marvel movie, and that's saying something. Rear Window, which rhymes with Black Widow, is the next one. That one's pretty good. You know, I don't love Hitchcock. I don't love him. People say he's great. I think he's pretty good. And Rear Window is pretty good. Really good acting. Plus, Grace Kelly is a snack and a half. Kubo, I already did. I think I like Coraline slightly better than Kubo. In August, I saw The Suicide Squad in theater. I saw it twice in theaters. I went with one of my brothers, and I went with my other brother. And I really liked that movie. I thought that was really entertaining. And it felt like a comic book to me, which a lot of these Marvel movies and DC movies, Suicide Squad is DC, obviously, they don't get the comic book feeling down. They're too busy, like, spraying sweat onto people and having people say gritty one-liners and stupid things and talking about time travel and Back to the Future. I feel like they've lost their sense of comic books. I didn't watch it here, but that Ang Lee Hulk from 2003, I like that movie. I don't care. Because it feels like a comic book, you know? And it's got a mutant poodle. Who doesn't like a mutant poodle? So the Suicide Squad kind of reminded me of the Hulk from 2003 because it's really over the top, really comic booky, and really interesting too. And I think the Suicide Squad is better because the plot in the Hulk movie gets really abstract. So I'm not sure I like that enough. I really like how creepy the Hulk gets, though. Like Jennifer Connelly having those dreams about Eric Banana choking her when she's a kid or something. Remember all that weird shit? It's got all this psychological stuff in it that no superhero movie has in it. So, anyway, I like the Hulk, I like the Suicide Squad. I like both of them a lot. But I think overall, the Suicide Squad is better. Battle Beyond the Stars. So I only have 2 movies in August. They're Suicide Squad and Battle Beyond the Stars. The Suicide Squad. I didn't rewatch Suicide Squad this year. Battle Beyond the Stars is a Star Wars ripoff from, you know, a few years after it came out. Like probably in the middle, like before all 3 of the originals came out of Star Wars. It's bad. It's written by John Sayles, so not every scene is useless, because John Sayles is really good. But this was I think it must have been a hack job for him or something, because it ain't very good. Or maybe they revised his script. I don't know what's going on, but it's not very good. It's one of these things where you're watching it and you're like, oh, this is aimed at boys. This is aimed at me, because there's these space women running around being nymphos and wearing Twizzlers for an outfit, you know, just nothing, just, you know, whoop. And it's like, I feel pandered to, and also like a giant nerd. I don't know how to explain that feeling exactly, but it's like where this isn't good, but I enjoy it. But not in a good way, you know, not so bad it's good, just kind of like, I technically enjoy looking at that, but like, I don't, I don't like this really. September, The Invisible Man, the old one, like really old, 1930 or whatever. That one's good. Very peppy, pretty short movie, but it keeps moving. Pretty creepy. It's good. Dune, which I watched in preparation for seeing the remake. This is the 1984 one by David Lynch. Worst David Lynch movie of all time, hands down, no contest. About 10 minutes into it, I was lost. I had no idea what was going on. Like, and it never came back. You could never tell what was happening. My favorite parts from that were the Duke. And I think he like vomits or sucks people's souls out or something, and he like flies around. He's this fat guy and he flies over and like grabs your head and eats your soul or something. I can't remember. But that was interesting. And the other thing I remember very distinctly was Kyle MacLachlan having some vision in a sandstorm, and he's like standing there and he's like, the worm is the spice is the worm. He just yells like a maniac. It was so silly. But yeah, that worst David Lynch movie ever. And I think David Lynch has said that too, like no one likes Dune. But I still haven't watched the remake, which I still want to watch, but I might have to get it on DVD. I don't think it's in theaters anymore. Not very many, anyway. It had a really long run, though, but I think it's gone. And I want to read the book also. I haven't bought the book yet, but I want to try that. Next, in September, I watched Sadiko versus Kayako, which are the ghosts from the Grunge and the Ring, or Jion and Ringu. That was a bad movie. And they only fought for like 2 minutes at the end, which is a problem with monster movies, I think. Like crossover monster movies. You get your Godzilla vs. Kong earlier in April. Movies like that where they have the preliminary fights. So by the time you get to the final fight, it kind of doesn't feel that important. And then they just had it be a tie anyway, so who cares? And then you have your Sadako versus Kayako, or Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, where they wait till the very end to show you the monster fight, and then still don't have a clear winner. Because in Sadako versus Kayako, maybe I shouldn't spoil the end, because that's like the only interesting part. Basically, it turns into Resident Evil, and not the movies, the game. We're just a guy standing there looking evil, and then just fucking, he just mutates into something horrifying, and his eyes bug out, and he turns giant. That's what the end of Sadako vs. Kayako is. Despite them both being ghosts, they turn into Resident Evil. And my last September movie is The Tall T, which is a Randolph Scott Western. And it's got Richard Boone as the bad guy. Richard Boone is awesome. I saw him in another one, Hombre, I think, with Paul Newman. And he was the bad guy in that. And he's really good. Really evil. He's a really good actor. So Tall T was cool. It was just like a pretty good Western, but it was tight, you know? It was good. I don't think it would have been based on an Elmer Leonard. It could have been. I know Hombre, I think, was based on an Elmer Leonard story or book. I might be getting my wires crossed on that, but it could. My point is, it could have been an Elmer Leonard story because it was very tight, you know, very, very tight and exciting. Now I'm into October, where I watched just 5 movies. You'd think I would have watched more movies around Halloween, but I guess I didn't. Lake Mungo, which is great. I love that movie. Really scary. And it's the only full-length movie that director has ever made. I don't understand. I don't understand at all. The Manor, which is a crappy horror movie about nursing home, or like a retirement community, you know? It's a retirement community. And it had Barbara Hershey, who's a total gilf, by the way. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. Don't look it up. And the other senior citizens are being mistreated, but it's really not very good. And it's got Bruce Davison as the bad guy. It's like a cult. Yeah, not interesting. Aside from how amazingly hot Barbara Hershey is at age 75 or whatever. Labyrinth by... Oh crap, who directed that? Was it Brian Henson or Jim Henson? I don't remember. But, Labyrinth. You want to talk about movie magic, like with Stand By Me or Return to Oz. I think Labyrinth is just one of the biggest examples of that. Wizard of Oz would be the classic example, because there's all sorts of plot holes in that and all kinds of stupid crap. But the movie overall is just legendary, you know? And it's just so good. Despite not being very good, I don't think, in my opinion. It's it gets somewhere it kind of shouldn't, just from sheer energy, I guess. Labyrinth is the same way. I think Labyrinth is just great. Like, just better than the sum of its parts. Although it's got some really nice parts in it, too. And the puppets are a lot of fun. And it's designed by Brian Froud, who I really like. Yeah. And I like puppets and animation and stop motion, all that kind of stuff. Not that Labyrinth has all those. It's mainly puppets and practical effects and stuff, which is really cool. The sets are really good. You should watch Labyrinth if you haven't. You probably have. It's super famous. Congo. Congo. That's the one with the white apes. And I don't think it's an Edgar Rice Burroughs story, but it's exactly like Journey to the Center of the Earth or one of those cheesy adventure things, including not being very well written. And it's got Tim Curry as an evil Hungarian doing a ridiculous accent. I don't remember who the main woman is. It's not Jennifer Lopez. I think it's a blonde white woman. But Jennifer Lopez is in... Which one's she in? Anaconda? Yeah. Unless it's Python. Anaconda. And it's a very similar type of movie. The white ape one, though, Congo... It seems like you don't have a decent ape fight at all. They basically eat Tim Curry, and that's the only person they get to kill, if I'm remembering right. Well, no, they kill a couple of red shirts early on, too. But then just... I don't know, a volcano goes off. That's what it is. Just coincidentally, a volcano goes off. And that kills the apes. Yep. Nightmare Before Christmas. There's some movie magic for you. Very energetic feeling movie, You don't even... It just goes, and you don't notice how much time you're spending watching it. You just watch it, and you're entertained, I'd say. Okay, that's the end of October. November, Monsters, Inc. I watched for the first time in over a decade. That holds up. That was pretty good. Snow White, that one was good. A Mouthful of Air, which me and one of my brothers went and saw in the theater, which I really liked in some ways, but I thought like the symbolism and stuff was just real one-dimensional, which I thought held it back, but a lot of it was really effective, and Amanda Seyfried is like a snack and a half also, and just like a really good heroine, because she's like really sympathetic, she makes a good hero for a movie, a good person you're supposed to care about, and not just because she's hot as hell, but you can empathize with her very easily, I think. French Dispatch, which I saw in the theater with my same brother and my mom. They both liked it. I'm sick of Wes Anderson's shit, man. I enjoyed him for years and years, and I like a ton of his movies. Like, I don't remember how many he has, but probably 75% of his movies I really like. But Isle of Dogs was his last one, I think. And that really made me notice how simplistic his morality is. Like, the point of Isle of Dogs is don't be mean to dogs, which I don't need a whole movie to tell me. Like, that's not interesting. That's not an interesting idea or anything like that. Kind of slouching here. And French Dispatch, after that was kind of drawn into focus for me on Isle of Dogs, French Dispatch seemed flat too. It might have just been flat also, and I wouldn't have liked it, but everything is simple. There's like a bunch of style, but why? Why does everyone live in a wall of cubbies? Why was that one section animated? It just looked like a shitty episode of Archer. Basically, all of his young women characters, there's always some, like, really deadpan-looking young woman who's too sassy for this world and doesn't take any crap at any point. It's just not realistic to how people behave, you know? It's, like, kind of an idealized, simplified, ideal woman, in a way, and it comes across really flat. Like, just, she's basically flawless, you know? And that happens in a lot of his movies. Like, all the way back to Bottle Rocket. I mean, I realize the woman in that smiles. She isn't deadpan, but the more I see a Wes Anderson, the more I'm noticing his limitations, I guess. So I didn't enjoy it that much. It was interesting, but and then after that, I gotta figure out, I have 2 post-it notes left, and then I'm actually gonna be friggin' done. What order do these go in? Okay, like that. So I got 2 more movies in November, and they're Little Mermaid and Bride of Chucky. Little Mermaid was really good. That's another one I hadn't seen for 10, 15 years. Just really good. Good movie. Bride of Chucky is just a bucket of fun. I love Bride of Chucky. And I like Seed of Chucky too, but I haven't rewatched that yet this year. Or, you know, this last go-round. Both of my brothers, me and my brothers watched Bride of Chucky, so we're all gonna watch Seed of Chucky. So we all have to get together and, you know, all be available, and so it'll be a whole thing before I get to see Seed of Chucky again. And now we're to December. We're almost out of here, man. In December, I watched Mamma Mia. My mom made me watch Mamma Mia. And that was good, I thought. It was like exactly what it was supposed to be, but it wasn't standard. This is what I was hoping would happen with this list. I'd notice patterns and be able to compare stuff. This is exactly what I was hoping would happen. Like, late night, that panders to the audience. It does exactly what you think it's gonna do, but it's not good enough, really. I don't think. It's so standard. Mamma Mia totally panders, is just a crowd pleaser, but it's so dedicated to that goal, and it's so fun if you're into that kind of thing. I was kind of annoyed how I had every ABBA song ever stuck in my head for 5 months after I watched it. Well, not 5 months, it's just a month. But I think Mamma Mia was really good for what it was trying to do. Like, maybe one of the best. Not that I've delved too deep into chick flick musicals, but I thought it was good. I went and saw Resident Evil Raccoon City just by myself. And I had a lot of fun. I don't know how good it was, really, because I got drunk while I was in there. I had, like, 2 canned cocktails with, like, really high alcohol content, and just got shit-faced and enjoyed the hell out of that movie. I think it was pretty good, though. It was entertaining. Then I couldn't drive home for a while because I was too drunk, so I had to go get Chinese food and just eat Chinese food in my car. And it was like 20 degrees, which doesn't sound too cold now that it's January and it's minus 20. I think it's like minus 5 right at this moment, but it's been down to minus 22 or something. But it was like 20 degrees out and windy, and I had to walk a couple blocks to the Chinese place and then back to my car to eat it. I guess I could have sat in the restaurant, but I think it was kind of late when I got out of the movie, so I had to go back to the car, and that wind did not feel good, but it sobered me up a little, and I ate food, got some protein, you know, and was okay to drive home in a half an hour or whatever. I'm not sure I really needed to say all that. Anyway, I had a lot of fun watching Resident Evil Raccoon City. Would have been more fun if I wasn't just like getting drunk on my own, because that seems like kind of sad or whatever, but it was alright. I don't do that all the time or anything. Hercules and the Amazon Women, which, see, I want to try the Hercules show and Xena, you know, I want to try those because they look like fun. So there are several Hercules movies, just TV movies, that come before the Hercules show. And the first one is Hercules versus, or not versus, and the Amazon Women. And it was terrible. And I really don't need to be lectured about gender politics by a fantasy writer, you know? Like, I don't need that in my life. Yeah, not very good. It did have Lucy Lawless as some Amazon. So, not as Xena, just as an Amazon. I'm trying to think of, was there anything very interesting? They had like this Hydra battle early on in the movie, and the Hydra looked terrible. It was like terrible CGI. But like, I enjoyed that part where he fought the Hydra. And then that was the first 20 minutes, and that was done. Then there were no more monsters, just gender politics for like an hour more. It's like, why? Just have more Hydras. That would have been better. Arthur Christmas. This is the penultimate movie of the year. We got one more after this. Arthur Christmas was shockingly good. Like, I don't usually like these Christmas movies, but my mom likes watching a bunch of them, so I watched a couple with her, including Arthur Christmas, which was really good. I wasn't expecting it. It was like really good. Well, not really like Mamma Mia, but like it was for a Christmas movie. It had to be a Christmas movie, you know, but they really thought out the whole Santa thing, and it's funny, really funny, and sharply written, and it was just really good, I thought. And kind of made you look at it a little different or something. It was just solid. It was really good. Not just solid, it was good. And the last movie of the year. Sorry, getting all up in your face. Frosty the Snowman, which is like a half-hour special by Rankin Bass from the 60s or 70s. This was terrible. This is one of the worst things I've ever seen. Like, worst animation. It's not their stop motion that they do for Year Without a Santa Claus, or Santa Claus is Coming to Town, or Rudolph, or any of those. This was like 2D animation that was just the worst. And Frosty is a fucking bitch, and I hate him. Frosty is terrible. He can go to hell and burn for all I care. This was only half an hour. It felt twice as long. It was vomit. And I know it's just for kids, but that's no excuse. Kids deserve good movies, good holiday specials. Frosty the Snowman was god-awful. Yeah, I hated that. Well, I guess I'm ending on a down note, because Frosty sucked so much. That is every movie I watched. Every couple minutes or so, I've been trying to remember what They Live is. So I'm gonna look that up. But as far as my favorite movie for this year, crap, had to be Secrets and Lies, I think. Because that is just a great movie. Just super awesome. One of, maybe the best Mike Leigh movie, although I really like Naked, and what's that? Life is Sweet is really good. Oh, and what's that other one? I think there's one other that I think is really top tier. And I haven't even seen all of them. I still need to see Vera Drake. And They Live is the Roddy Piper, John Carpenter movie. How could I forget? He's here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and he's all out of bubblegum. How could I forget? So they live. That was a lot of fun. That's another one that kind of went off the rails. The first hour is good, the second half is bad. And there's a full-on wrestling match, Roddy Piper versus Keith David in the middle of it. Roddy Piper is a surprisingly good actor. It's creepy at first, and then they get to the secret headquarters or something and just start shooting everybody, and it gets really lame. It reminded me of, what's that Cronenberg movie? Scanners. It was pretty similar to that, I thought. But a lot more fun, though. And Scanners is trying to be more serious, but it's like, stupid. Okay. Oh, I'm glad I got that one. That was the only one I couldn't remember, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, if you actually watched this whole thing, thank you. And goodbye. Click.